We're continuing in our learning of Pirki Avot, the chapters of the fathers, the wisdom of the great rabbis in the time of the Talmud, the Mishnah and the Talmud. That so much, evil speech has been heaped on these wonderful, positive, vital people, that it's the time has come to remove this this slander, right? These people have been called the Pharisees and all sorts of this. The fact of the matter is, these people are saving the world. They are the ones that explain the Torah, and they explain all of these sentences that have been misused and etc. But now we're talking about day-to-day life. Day-to-day life. What about me and you? Is there more to life than just being religious? Of course there is. Being religious is a very important part of life, to do the commandments, etc. But you have attitude. What about attitude? Right? And we read the famous Ramban, that it's possible for a person to do the whole Torah and be a disgusting person. You can find all sorts of loopholes and unclear things. That's why it says kadoshim to you. You have to be holy in everything you do. In a way, that's what separates the Jews from the rest of the world, and what's going to really save the whole rest of the world, to show everyone that everything is holy. So in order to do this, these men left behind a wealth of wisdom, and among this wisdom is also wisdom of the world. Sayings and attitudes and values and, priorities, paradigms that can serve us for day-to-day life. So here we go. So first of all, if we remember, we had the Torah, we got it from it said Moses received the Torah, gave it to Joshua. Joshua gave it to the elders. Those were all the judges before the temple was built. And then after that, there were the prophets. Then after the prophets, the first temple was destroyed, came the second temple. That was the people of the Great Assembly, even though the last three official prophets were in the Great Assembly also. Haggai, Zechariah, and Malachi. But they were in the beginning of the second temple. The last, and the people in the Great Assembly, they said you have to have three things. You have to make a lot of pupils, and you have to be make a fence around the Torah, and you have to be very patient and thorough when you judge. And after that came Shimon ben Shetach. Shimon ben Shetach, he was the last of the people of the Great Assembly. And now you have to remember that all these people, including all of the people that wrote what's called the Mishnah, which we're going to learn of those people in a moment, they had the power to raise the dead. They very rarely did so, but there were enough times that they did so to show that they had the power to do so. So it says that even though the least powerful of them had the power to raise the dead. So we see that what they say had tremendous weight. And nevertheless, the Torah doesn't bring all these stories about how they rose the dead and they made these big prophecies. It talks about very practical day-to-day things, so we can make our day-to-day things holy. Okay, so after Shimon ben Shetach, he said three things: that the world stands on Torah, prayer, and acts of kindness. Right, and he had pupils, and his pupils were, we said, was Yossi ben Yoezer and Yossi ben Yochanan, right? Yossi ben Yoezer and Yossi ben Yochanan. Oh, no, I'm sorry. Then there came, I skipped one. Antigonus ish Socho. Antigonus ish Socho. He was the pupil of Shimon HaTzadik, and he talked about, what is this thing about serving God, praying? You should pray in order to serve God and not in order to receive reward. Just don't think about yourself. And from him came out two evil pupils called Saduk and Beitus, and they said, you hear what the rabbi said, that there's no reward, so it means we have to take the Torah at face value, because the Torah, the 5 books of Moses, doesn't talk about reward. So they said there's no reward, and they started making all sorts of weird interpretations of the Torah however they wanted to, and therefore they had to be the next generation, which is called the Zugot. And after that, there comes pairs. pairs of wise men. One of the pairs is what's called the Av Beit Din. He's like the head of the Beit Din, and the other one was called the Nasi, like the, how do you say, the leader, the prince, the king. So that we have, okay, so that took care of Antigonus Isocho. Antigonus Isocho said that you have to serve God from love and fear and don't think about yourself. And after him came two pupils, Yossi ben Yoezer Ish Tzareda and Yossi ben Yochanan. And one of them talked about Torah. What do we say? Torah, Avot, Gemilas Chosadim. Avot is prayer. That is Socho. He talked about that. Antigonus is Socho. He said, Avot is serving God. How should you pray? Think only about God. Don't think about yourself. What about the other two? Torah. That's what Rabbi Yosef ben Yoezer said. Fill your house with people that learn Torah. Have your house a meeting place for Torah people. And Yosef ben Yochanan, he talked about charity. Have your house open for the poor. Just watch out, be very friendly to everybody, but don't talk too much to women. Too much to women. Strange women, you shouldn't talk almost at all, but even to your wife, you shouldn't talk too much because it will divert you from giving charity and learning Torah and prayer. Those three things. Okay, this is where we got up to. Here we are. Ready? Yes. The next two, let's go partners. One of them is the Nasi. He's the head of the Jewish people. Another one is the head of the court, based in. He's like the assistant. Yoshua ben Parachia and Nitai Ha'arbeli. They received from them, from the previous two that we talked about, Yosef ben Yoezer and Yosef ben Yochanan. We're approaching now the end of the Second Temple. And they made also statements we have to remember. Ready? Here we go. This is the sixth Mishnah. Yoshua ben Parachia said, make for yourself a teacher, a Rav. Excuse me 1 minute. Let me see if I'm recording all this. Okay, ready? Principles in life. Make for yourself a Rav, a teacher, someone who will tell you what the law is, someone you can advise, take advice from, that's above you, has more experience, more knowledge. And even more, it says, Asay lecha Rav. Even if the person doesn't have more knowledge, when you make him your teacher, as he'll be given special blessings from God, his advice will be more accurate. The Lubavitcher Rebbe really put a big emphasis on this, that everybody should have a Rav. Everyone should have someone that they can take advice from. Someone that they put on a higher level, even if the person is not, in fact, wiser than you. There's some people that think that they're wiser than everybody anyway, and that they'll never find. So you have to make somebody, asay lecha, make someone, appoint someone that's above you, and understand that if you ask advice, that it'll be God giving advice. The advice will come. Okay. Advice. Next, have a friend, someone who's equal to you. Kana lecha chaver. And it says even kana, you should even put out money to have your friend. Have a friend, someone who's equal to you, that you can talk to, you can confide in. And finally, havedan kol adam l'kav zechut, even strangers. Here's people that are above you. Have to have someone, appoint someone above you, appoint someone that has authority, that you respect, to give you advice. Have someone equal to you. Kana lecha chaver. And what about people who are less than you, people that you don't even know? People that are ignoramuses, low quality people. Says Yeshua ben Parachia, there's no such thing. You have to judge everyone, the kav zechut, to the side of merit. Right? This person, maybe he's not so smart in Torah, but maybe he's smart in other things. Maybe he's smart in in the ways of the world. Maybe he has a good personality. Maybe he's an honest person. That's worth more sometimes than a person who knows the Torah. Honesty, woo. Maybe the person is a good father. He's a good gardener, or something. You have to find something good in everybody. Judge everyone. And if you see a person doing a sin, you have to say to yourself, "Listen, probably maybe I misunderstood what's going on. Maybe there's mitigating circumstances. Maybe there's this." You should try to talk to him, explain to him that, listen, maybe I think in a nice way. Don't judge everyone to the side of good. Make excuses for other people. How can you learn to do this from yourself? We see how we make excuses for ourselves. Great, fantastic. We're geniuses at it. Geniuses, talented people make excuses for themselves, right? If you see somebody else lose his temper, you say, "What a disgusting person." When I lose my temper, I say, "It's just because I'm a very assertive person." So therefore, judge everyone the same way you judge yourself. This is basically the idea of love your neighbor as yourself. Same way you don't find any fault in yourself, don't find any fault in others. And so we have, let's just see a little bit what the rabbi is saying. Maybe there's a short one over here. Iker Tosfos Yom Tov. It says, it doesn't say buy yourself a pupil. It says a person should make him the Rav Lomer Talmud. You can't say, "I'm your rabbi, learn from me," but rather it says, make a friend, right? Make a friend, be friendly to people, be on people's equal. So says the Tosfot Yom Tov. As we'll talk about more, God willing, tomorrow. Have a good day with Mashiach now. See you tomorrow at 8:15.